fab nerd and ghetto falsetto
You're.
right here for FaceTime facials. Nicholas Ryan Gant is a wonderful chorus teacher in New York City, the mecca of excellence in the entire world,
Right.
and is a COVID-19 survivor.
Yes. God.
God is good all the time.
Whew.
Uh,
So crazy.
so, how are you doing today?
Today, I'm well. I'm well today. I'm like almost 100% recovered.
Yay!
Yeah, physically, it's like not as much as it is mentally. Mentally, it's been hell.
Wow.
It's been very hellish. There's a lot of like PTSD kind of feelings, and you know, and at first I was like having hallucinations and stuff. It was really bizarre.
Really?
And, yeah, during the process there was a lot of like brain fog and with my mentals like that I didn't expect, but it kind of just takes a toll on your body because it beats you up for 2 weeks straight with these fevers and headaches and body aches.
Yeah.
And just sort of breaks your body down until it gets in your lungs and it's like hard for you to breathe. And so that's the point that I was at. I kind of felt good when before my lungs stopped working because I hadn't had a fever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, maybe I'm at the end of it. And then like the next day I woke up and I could not. It was like filling with like this liquid.
Did you feel that? Did you feel like liquid like in your lungs?
Like when I was laying down, it sounded like it sounded like bubbles, like it was bubbling in my chest when I breathed.
Oh my God. That's crazy. All right. Well, let's get some self-care in as we talk about this so that way it's like a good balance, you know?
Yeah.
So what mask are you doing today?
I'm doing a Glam up.
Yes, Glam up.
I don't even know this brand. You know it?
Nope, not a clue.
Glam up. It's a refreshing peppermint skin clarifying paper mask. Yeah, I got my sister is really, really into self-care. And she does this thing, everybody's like doing like the self-care Sunday or like self-care Saturday or whatever.
Yeah.
And so for Christmas, we gave each other like smaller gifts, and she gave me like this little Christmas stocking full of like face products.
Okay.
Which I thought was really dope. Yeah, and so I just washed my face with this So Fresh, So Clean, Young Cool Now Milky cleanser.
Okay. Show the people what you're working with. So fresh and so clean. Okay.
I used to only use like clear cleansers, but I started using a cream cleanser, and it actually worked better. It was better on my skin. So.
Oh, that's good. That's cool.
So I'm gonna do this. Look, man.
Cool. I'm doing this one's called Privai. It's a Phyto clay mask. I actually got this at the spa that is called Doreen Baxter up on close to 59th and Lex, somewhere around there.
Okay.
And I love that spa, and like my skin loves this. And the best thing about it, like I put it on sometimes, and I can sometimes sleep in it if I put a towel, and then my skin just feels like so amazing in the morning.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, I found them on Groupon.
I'm not that I'm not that versed. But I do get massages every month. Well, I haven't.
Well, yeah.
The outbreak.
Since the outbreak, yeah.
Look at this mask.
Oh.
It's kind of like
the sheet mask.
Like the Mexican.
I've done one of those before. I actually liked it. The peppermint is definitely gonna make your face tingle.
This smells mad good.
Yes.
Smell. That was mad good. Okay, I'm scared.
You just gotta line it up.
Am I doing this right?
Yeah, you just line it up.
Oh, I think I did it.
Look at you,
Now you gotta
self-caring.
tuck it down.
And then you can show your sister this video and be like, look, I used that Christmas gift that you got me.
Exactly. Well, this feels good though. But it don't go over my upper lip because my mustache.
Turns
I'm
out.
done.
Yeah, it turns out this mask is better applied with my finger than the brush. Okay.
You're trying to be all bougie.
Just a little bit. Only on days that end in Y.
Yeah, that's mad funny.
Okay. So I'm going to let this sit for 10 minutes. So, when did you realize you were getting sick? Or, like the onset of like the sickness? Did you think it was like a regular cold or?
Yeah, I definitely thought it was. This is so hilarious. I definitely thought it was the flu.
Okay.
Because on like March 15th, I was like, something ain't right. I sang at church, and when I got home from church, I was like, hey, I feel terrible. And that's my sister's birthday, and so we were supposed to try to go to brunch.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't happen. Didn't make it to brunch because I was knocked out with the fever, which was so crazy. And so, yeah, I was like, luckily they had decided to close the schools the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And so that meant that, we would be able to work from home. And they had already said if anybody was feeling, people didn't know what they had. And so when I woke up sick on Monday, I was like, dang. But we were off because they used that as like a planning day. And then the next day, we were supposed to come in and put everything online. But I didn't make it to work.
Yeah.
I did not make it to work. And so that's when I was just like, okay, I don't know what this is. So I tried to go to the doctor. I made an appointment for the next day because everything was filled up. And your boy gave me the flu test and was like, it's negative. You should just go home and act like you have it. Like, act like I have COVID. And I was like, what?
That was like the doctor's orders, like,
yes.
You don't got the flu, but like, just pretend that you know what this is.
And I was like, what are you even saying to me right now? Like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
I was so irritated.
Did he tell you how to treat it at all?
No. He didn't say anything. He said just go home and act like you have it. And I was like, what the heck does that mean?
I wonder if like COVID was just so new that they didn't know how to treat it back in March. Like I can't really.
No, I believe that. I definitely believe that, but I feel like there's way better advice that you could give somebody.
Yeah.
Than to act like you have it.
Yeah, that's not good.
It was so terrible. I was so irritated. So, basically, after that, I ended up like trying to treat what I thought was the flu because I was still convinced that it was the flu.
Okay.
I was like, I did not have COVID because I didn't have any of the symptoms. It was literally just like, well, not just because it was hell, but I didn't have a sore throat. I didn't have a cough. I didn't have like diarrhea or any of that stuff that they were saying was indicative of it. I had fevers and I had headaches and body aches and chills and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But that was it. Like I didn't have any kind of cold symptoms or anything.
Runny
like
nose.
Nothing.
Sneezing.
None of it.
Just high fever.
Just a really high, debilitating fevers. And they would come in and out. Like I'd be talking to you regular like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next hour, I'd be under the covers, like shaking like a crackhead because I was like freezing and I was hot at the same time. It It was nuts.
That sounds so brutal.
It was horrible.
So when you
Like,
were
I never
home,
want to be that sick again.
So when you were home, what were you taking?
I took Tylenol. I took Tylenol. I took what is it? Theraflu, like the liquid form. I took that. I was eating like whole cloves of garlic. Like literally, I'll chop the garlic in half and then swallow it like a pill, like with water. I was like boiling lemon and honey, and I had like these ginger root pills because there was no ginger in Harlem anywhere for like weeks. So I was pouring out these ginger root pills and mixing it up in there.
Okay.
And drinking that. And then somebody told me, in order to not overdose on the Tylenol, to alternate it with the Advil. So I would take Tylenol, and then 3 hours later I would take Advil. Then 3 hours later I take Tylenol, and just to try to control the fevers.
Okay.
That didn't work. The fevers it was so crazy.
Dang.
It didn't work.
So then, how did you end up going from like sick at home? So how did you progress like to being from home hospitalized?
Yeah. So the home stuff, I was like at home treating it like it was the flu, and not even really, considering COVID, until the next week. It went into like the 10th day, and I was like, what is happening? Like, because I couldn't believe that I was sick for that long.
Yeah. So you had a fever for 10 days.
Yes. Off and on for like every day for 10 days.
Did you have any other symptoms that would come and go in between? Like,
nope, nothing. The only other symptom that started to show was like by the third day I couldn't smell anything.
Okay.
And then by the fourth day everything tasted like metal.
Ooh.
So it made it difficult for me to eat. Like I couldn't smell and I couldn't really taste. And when I did eat, it was like metallic. It was so gross. So then, like by then, I stopped eating like meals.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could only like drink liquids and like maybe like something like a grape or something like soft or applesauce.
Okay.
But even that, it made it difficult because it just made me so nauseous.
Mm.
And so by the 10th day, I didn't have any more fevers. And then when I woke up that day, I could feel like bubbles in my chest. Like it was like a rumbling when I breathed. And I was like, no, this can't be my life.
Yeah, no.
And so, my homeboy that's a nurse, he was like, coaching me through it because he was actually working with COVID patients in his hospital. And
you could take that off if it's bothering you.
No, it's just
okay.
I'm trying to figure out how to. I need to open it. Maybe I should rip it. What you think?
Maybe. Might not be made for the soup coolers.
Oh no, my big. Oh, this is better.
Okay.
I'm smart. Should have been did that.
Life hack.
But yeah, so.
Your homeboy who's a nurse.
Yeah, he was definitely coaching me through it because he had worked with COVID patients, and so since we didn't know if it was, or he was like trying to figure out if it was, and so he actually ended up prescribing me some Mucinex and an inhaler.
Okay.
And so yeah, I had like one of my homeboys from the block. I like slipped him some money. Like, and he went and ran errands for me. He got me like Gatorade and like got me the inhaler and everything, and like dropped it at the door and like left. He didn't even like wait for me to open the door.
Yeah.
And so it was like taking that, like kind of didn't even do anything because it wasn't like normal bubbles. Because when I coughed, nothing came up.
Yeah.
So I took an inhaler to try to open up my lungs. It didn't work. The next day, like I was taking breaths like that.
Oh.
Like I was literally gasping between words.
That has to be so scary. Some people say like if you get fluid in your lungs, it feels like you're drowning. Is that true?
Yeah, it definitely did feel like that when I was laying down. Like I had to sit up, which was difficult too because it took a lot of energy. Everything took energy. Like even taking a shower, like I could only stand up for 1 minute. So I had to like lather up on the washcloth for 30 seconds and then wash really fast before I like fell.
Oh my
I
god.
had to sit, I had to sit on the edge of the tub
Yeah.
because I couldn't stand up. It was crazy.
That's insane. That is insane.
Crazy. So yeah, so that day when I woke up and like I couldn't really breathe. I was talking to him after he got off work, and he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, nothing. I just went to get something from the kitchen. He was like, he was like, you sound like you just like ran a marathon. He was like, I thought you like walked up the steps. And he was like, okay. So he was just kind of like being observant and, just kind of like listening. And then maybe 5 minutes later, he was like, I think I'm going to come over there. And I was like, what do you mean? Because he had literally worked 7 to 7 that day.
Wow. Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? No. It's like, and he lives like on Long Island. So he's like an hour away.
That's a real friend.
Exactly.
Coming from Long Island to Harlem, that is a real friend.
Exactly. He's like, I think I'm going to come over there. And I'm like, I don't think you should do that. I was like, I'll be okay. I'm just going to go to sleep. But I wasn't talking like this. I was like, I'll be okay. I'm just going to go to sleep.
Yeah.
That's how I was talking. And he was like, no. He was like, don't go to sleep. He was like, please don't go to sleep. He was like, I'll be there in a second. Because my lungs were like literally like closing and like filling up.
Oh my god.
And if I would have gone to sleep, I wouldn't have woken up.
Yeah, no.
Like I would have literally like drowned.
Drowned in your sleep.
Yeah, like literally. He was like, no, don't go to sleep. He was like, stay up. And I was like, okay. And so he got here in 45 minutes. I don't know how he got here so fast. He came in, he had on like his PPE and like he put the oxygenator thing on my finger to like read my oxygen. And he's like, no. He was like, you gotta get dressed. And I was like, what does that mean? He was like, we gotta go. And I was like, go where? I was like, I'm not going to the hospital because they're just gonna tell me to go home. I'm like,
right.
No. And he's like, I can't. He was like, I cannot leave you here. He was like, you have to get dressed.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh.
Dang.
I was so mad.
Yeah.
Because I thought I could just go to sleep and like sleep it off and like, wake up the next morning and be okay.
True.
Man, I would have been dead, like dead.
Yeah.
In my apartment and nobody would have known.
That's crazy.
So when I got by the time I got to the ER, he took me to the ER uptown Washington Heights. And I was just like that's how I was breathing.
Oh my god. That is so scary.
I know.
And like, was it just gradual? So I guess you maybe didn't notice how poorly you were breathing?
How bad? Yeah, I didn't notice. And like my sister was saying something, but I just thought she was just being extra.
Okay.
She was like, you don't hear how you're talking to me? And I was
like, no.
I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
True. All right, your friend came, picked you up, and then you were going to the hospital. So then what happened?
I was just kind of nervous because I really didn't want to go because I didn't want to be turned away. And the hospital that he went to school at the ER over there, and
in the Heights, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he wanted to take me in, but it was closed. Like they wouldn't let anybody come in. So he had to drop me off. He was like, just text me, call me, like let me know what happens. And I was nervous, but I went over there, and I just walked. I walked right in, and I was surprised because there was nobody in the waiting room. There was like one person,
Wow.
and I expected it to be like hundreds of people. There was nobody in there, and and I went through triage, and they brought me in, and they set me like in this space. It looked like kind of like a waiting room, or like a waiting area,
Okay.
and they set me across from this lady, and so everybody was wearing masks. Like they made everybody put masks on at that point. Um, and I sat there for maybe like 20 minutes, which felt like hours because I still couldn't breathe at that point. And so they came over, and they took my vitals and everything, and they said everything was okay. All my vitals were fine. But my breath, they were just like, is your breath normally this short? And I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm a singer. And, they were just asking questions that seemed like very stupid questions at the time because I'm like almost in distress.
Yeah.
And yeah, and finally, the nurse came over and tried to check my oxygen. She like made me walk around, and it was hell, like trying to like walk around. I just remember like wanting to just collapse, and so she sat me in a different area. Just and this time it was just a chair. It wasn't like in like a closed area. Um, and so they were waiting to try to find me a bed, and maybe like 30 minutes after that, they found a bed for me. And so she put the oxygen reader and tried to make me like, walk to the bed. And I'm like over here, like about to fall over. And yeah, then the other nurse comes in, and then they put the IV in and stuff. And it's just like, from that point, it just started getting like weird and real because I'm like, okay, something is really wrong.
Did they tell you like what your oxygen level was when they put the reader on you? Do you remember them saying like, "Oh, it's really low," or?
Yeah, so that was what made them want to keep me for observation because I think when she put it on that first time, it was like at 80 something, which is like way too low.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be at like 90, I think like 95 or above. And yeah, it was like 80. And then when I tried to walk, it dropped even lower than that. So I was like 80 at rest.
Ooh.
So yeah, when I was trying to like move and do any of that other stuff, it dropped lower. And so they gave me Tylenol. They gave me a couple other things because they were trying to rule out other stuff that could be happening. And then later the doctor came over, and he's like, everything that you're describing makes us think that you actually have COVID. And he was like, so we have to test you and we have to keep you. And I was like, what? I was like, what? I was like, how did you get COVID from fevers? But I was like, okay, because at that point, like, we still didn't really know like what it was.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what? And it just was like a total shock. It was like he came over and was like, everything you're telling me leads me to believe you're dead. Like it's just that's what I heard.
What?
Like, in my head. Like that's how I heard it, and I was like, dang. So that's how it felt. And so yeah, he was like, we have to give you a test, and then we're gonna give you an X-ray, and so all of that took forever. Like they came to give me the COVID test. I think it was like 1 a.m. And that was so painful. They stuck like this like swab all the way down my nose to my brain. It made my nose bleed.
Ooh.
It was so intense.
Yeah.
And then they came and gave me an X-ray, a chest X-ray. It was like had to be like 3 and I was like, kind of in and out.
Yeah.
Just very anxious, breath still very short, and then at about 4, had to use the restroom, but it was like really hard to walk, and so I needed help to get over there. And the nurse, being ambitious, she was like, "I'm gonna try to make you walk again, just so I could check your oxygen." And she was like, "Can you just do one more lap?" And I was like, and I threw up because she was like making me walk so much, like
Ooh.
so fast that I couldn't catch my breath, and it made me throw up. I was so angry, and I started crying because I was like, I had gone that whole 2 weeks without vomiting, even though I was like mad nauseous. I
Yeah.
had gone the whole 2 weeks without vomiting, and
Yeah.
as soon as I get to the hospital, she's like trying to make me walk, and I throw up.
Yeah.
It
It's
was terrible.
throwing up hurts so bad. Like it just
Exactly.
hurts. It just feels like they just wring out your insides and you're like gasping for air and it's just all coming out and
It's terrible.
yeah.
Terrible. So yeah, it was awful. And so I was really pissed at her, and I was crying, and then, you know, I was in my head, and like people were texting because I had like I put on Facebook, like not to worry, but I think I might have it, and
Mhm.
so I'm at the emergency room because I can't really breathe, and I did that basically just to keep like the people who knew I was sick kind of updated, but
Yeah.
all the posts like started picking up like wildfire. Like everybody was like posting and seeing it, and I was like, oh, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I should have just made it like a private post, but at that point it was like, what can you do? Because I wasn't paying attention. I was just kind of
Yeah.
like,
Definitely
trying to make
not.
sure I reached to everybody. And after that, yeah, it was literally just like a waiting game, and like a lot of mental stuff, and like a lot of like breakdowns, and like trying to like process what it means, because like I was just hearing that so many people were dying,
Yeah.
and the fact that I couldn't like breathe properly really just made me, it made me super anxious. And then they came in around, I feel like it was like 11 a.m. or maybe almost noon,
Mhm.
and they were like, we found you a bed, so we're gonna move you to the holding space. And I got like another nurse, and everybody was so nice,
That's
mind
good.
you.
Yeah.
Like, that was something that was really important because I was kind of nervous
Mhm.
about that, and then especially being like black, I thought they were just gonna, send me on my way.
Like the first doctor did.
Yeah, exactly. And initially they were trying to like send me home if I didn't have it,
Mhm.
or like if the oxygen level went up, they were gonna try to send me home, because if I didn't have it, then it would have put me more at risk being in the hospital.
Right.
And so they initially were trying to like get me out of there and trying to figure it out, but the fact that my oxygen like wouldn't go up, they were like, we have to monitor you. And so yeah, that's when they admitted me, and they moved me to the other holding space, um, which it was weird. I started feeling better, like in better spirits
Mhm.
there. Like when I was like kind of out of the ER. I don't know if it's something spiritual about being in the ER, but like it just didn't feel right. Like it felt really
Yeah.
dark and very heavy. And so when they moved me to that other space, it was a little bit lighter, and I could start to process things more, and I felt more hopeful. Like
Okay.
I knew that I was sick, and I knew that something was wrong, but I felt more hopeful.